on the 10th of October this year, 10-10-10, so no excuse for forgetting the date, we're having what we're calling a global work party. Instead of a global political rally like last year, this year in thousands and thousands of communities around the world, people are putting up solar panels, digging community gardens, laying out bike paths, doing all the kind of work of slow money things, building the slow food networks, whatever it is in place after place. And that day, people are going to be doing them with the big 350 sign, and we're going to be collecting all those images from around the world, and we're going to be sending a sharp political message. The message is not that we're going to solve climate change one community garden at a time, because we're not. It's incredibly important to build those things for a huge variety of reasons that I've tried to outline, but we're not going to deal with climate in a significant way unless and until we change the price of carbon, put a stiff price on fossil fuel, which is a political task. It won't happen without political intervention at the national and global level. So, the political message that this global work party is designed to send is right to our leaders, including our president. We're getting to work. What about you? You know, if I can climb up on the roof of the school and hammer in a solar panel, perhaps you could be bothered to climb to the floor of the Senate and hammer out some legislation. There's a certain amount of shaming that needs to be done, because we're facing the biggest problem by far that human beings have ever faced, and so far the political response has been almost nil, almost everywhere. Okay? And that can't continue any longer. If we're able to bring it, to make that political change, if we're able to put a serious, stiff price on fossil fuel, then all the work that we're doing close to home, and the kind of slow money ventures that you all are involved in, all that work suddenly gets much, much, much easier. At the moment, every time you set up a farmer's market, you're fighting against the force of economic gravity, you know? All that incredibly cheap oil that's, I mean, you know, the Midwest has become a place where you use soil to hold plants upright so you can pour oil over them. You know, that's, and that sets the price that you have to compete against constantly when you're trying to do something good and sustainable and sensible close to home. And until we can overcome that, then almost by definition, farmers markets and things will be relatively marginal. The same with solar panels on people's roofs or anything else. There's nothing that would help bring the fast money era to a close more quickly than a stiff price on fossil fuel. It would change the force of economic gravity, turn it upside down, and that which is good would become easy, and that which is bad would become more expensive and harder. So that's how the local and the global work together. And that's why it's such a big pitched battle. Because what we're fighting for when we fight for an end to fossil fuel is an end to the kind of fast money world in which we're living. And that's why the other side fights back so hard. Because the stakes are so high. Because there is no more profitable thing that's ever happened than the refining and combustion of fossil fuels. That's why it'll be such a tragedy if the upshot of what happens in the Gulf is that we force BP to, you know, put better blowout preventers on its wells or something, instead of truly engaging the question of fossil fuel at a deep level, which we now have the kind of public opportunity to do. I wish I could tell you, guarantee you, that this fight was going to end happily. If I was a good organizer, that's what I would do, and just sit down. But at root, I'm still a writer, and feel the need to say things as truthfully as I can, which is, there is no guarantee. There are scientists who think we've waited too long to get started, and that the heating that we're now seeing is kind of irreversible. Clearly, we're not going to stop global warming. We've already raised the temperature 1 degree. There's another degree in the pipeline from carbon we've already emitted. But the best science indicates that there's still a chance to stop things before they get completely and utterly and eternally out of control. That if we take very dramatic action now, the Earth may still respond in some useful ways. There are also political scientists who think that this is just too hard a task, that the vested interests and inertia are simply too large to be moved effectively. And they may be right. In fact, if you were a betting person, you might be well advised to bet that we weren't going to win in this fight. But that strikes me profoundly as a bet that you're not allowed to make. That as people alive and conscious at the moment that the worst thing that's ever happened is happening, we have no moral choice but to try to figure out how to change the odds of that wager in some real way. That's what we're doing at 350, and we very much need your help. That's what you're doing every day with the kind of projects that you're underway with, trying to change the odds of that wager, trying to bring this fast money world to an end as quickly as we can. It is a hard task, but it's a beautiful task. And for me, to go look at those pictures from last October is to be reminded of just how much love and passion and commitment and willingness there is out there. We're not in power, but we're not a minority either. Most people around the world yearn for exactly the kind of change that y'all are about. I can't guarantee that we're going to win, but I can guarantee that we'll fight as hard as we possibly can all the way through. And it's a real privilege and an honor to be in a room full of people engaged in that same kind of fight, and just to be able to say thank you for being colleagues and comrades in that work.